Welcome, everybody, to the One to Go show presented by Dirt Track Supply. It is Puka, it is Ryan Hill, and it is Bert Lehman. We're going to cover all kinds of racing this weekend. We're going to talk racing in Canada. We're going to talk racing in Iowa. We're going to talk racing in Minnesota. We're going to talk racing in Texas. We're going to talk racing in Wisconsin. So you're going to want to share this out as soon as you can. But without further ado, let's get to the boys here. Bert, how was the weekend? Packers are on.
It was good. My quarantine ended on Friday, and I got to see more races on Saturday, and then I went to Milwaukee for the Brewers game on Sunday. So after being confined to the house for 11 days, I needed to get out.
Well, I got to ask you, did the Brewers win? I didn't get a chance to watch any of the baseball. Did they get it on?
No, they had a 2-1 lead entering the 8th inning, and they lost 6-4.
I saw a picture of you with the little mascots there. Did you get in a little contest running around the bases with them, or just a photo?
No, that was just a statue.
Well, pardon my cough, everyone. I'm gonna have a cough. I don't know if it was a late nights. Like Bert, I had a COVID test. I tested negative though, so that's a good thing. I think it's just the allergies and maybe the late nights and a little bit of cool weather, but we'll be back at it. I got to have my voice back because I am going to do some announcing this coming week. We'll talk about that.
Right, that's right. Big weekend for you.
Yeah, looking forward to getting out to the baddest bull ring in South Dakota, the Watertown, the Casino Speedway. Really looking forward to that. I've been looking forward to that all year. But episode 98, Bert, let's start with you. Who do you got? Number 98. Give us someone.
He is still racing, and currently he is racing number 9, but he has raced number 98 in the past, and that would be late model driver from Shawano, Wisconsin, Tom Nayert. He originally was number 98, but then at one point he changed it to number 9 so he could fit more sponsors on his race car.
That's smart marketing right there. He is still racing. I never knew he was number 98. When did he switch?
He probably switched in the early 2000s. Menominee Casino started sponsoring him, and I think that was when he switched. I could be wrong on that, but that way you could make the sponsor name bigger on the car. And then a couple of years ago, he did race 98 again, but now he's back to number 9 again. So last few years, he's kind of been switching back and forth.
Might be some strategy. You run over a few people from out of town, and all of a sudden you're like, they're coming baback after you. You just change your number, and they're like, by the time they figure out who it is, the race is over. There might be some strategy behind that. We might have to give. I have a little. That's an idea that I have for somebody we're going to talk about in a little bit. Remind me of that. So, Puka, who do you got, number 98?
I got a guy that's currently a racer, but he races infrequently, and sometimes he's a pitman. He seems to cover all aspects of racing, and that's hammered down Jason Round. But he sometimes, like this weekend, he was pitting for Earl Pearson down in Knoxville, and sometimes he has other people in his car. I think Burkhofer ran his car a couple of years ago, didn't he?
Yes.
Yeah, right. And then all of a sudden he's racing, so you don't know what form you're going to find Jason Round in.
That's an interesting one right there. I forgot completely about him. So I got 2. One I really don't know much about. I got Bobby Satterdahl, and back in the early 80s, I remember him coming up to Hibbing, the silver. I had pictures of him from up in Thunder Bay at the Riverview Raceway, a red number 98 he ran. And then in our area, Puka, the one guy that number 98, when you say this number, it's Al Uton.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest. I mean, this guy's been doing it for a long time, still highly competitive. He was I think he was either on the podium or in the top 5 both nights up at Labor Day, and now he's got his kid racing, Brady Uton, number 9, kind of that whole deal going from 98 to 9, right? And he's a talented racer. That kid's got a bright future ahead of him. But Al Uton, I mean, there's a guy that's been making a lot of laps for a long time. Who knows how much longer he's going to do it, especially as good as his kid is. I can see him kind of sitting back and saying, you know what, we're going to put our emphasis there. Hopefully not real soon, because I think a lot of fans like seeing him out on the racetrack. So let's get to it. Of course, this episode, as you said, brought to you by our friends over at Dirt Track Supply. I had a chance to briefly talk with Trevor out at the I-94 Sherstedt Speedway. He was washing his car. He did not run the modified this weekend. He blew up. He will have it in Watertown. He had the late model, made it in the show the first night, so we kind of get to put it in relax mode for a couple of days, and kind of ran pretty competitive around the middle of the pack there. Not a lot of laps in the late model. But, of course, we're going to their stomping grounds this weekend, the Casino Speedway, and they help so many people, whether they're building cars, aero chassis, or, tires or parts or just fixing stuff. They've been doing it for a long time. Folks, if you need anything done this winter, you need parts, you're looking at a different chassis, get a hold of Trevor, get a hold of Ron. They'll take good care of you. So, Bert, you said you went racing this weekend. So let's start with the races we went to. And, of course, it was out at the Outagamie Speedway. It's still called that, right, over in Seymour?
Yeah.
The finale, the kind of capping off the whole season for the Discount Shop Pals Dirt Kings Late Model Series. What stuck out to you from the final race of the year?
Well, this was their fall brawl at Seymour, and Puka would have enjoyed it. I think they had like 7 divisions racing, but they did not have as many cars as they had last year, because I know last year I think they had like 230 some, and last year I left the races at like 10:30, and there's still races to go. Where this year I left at 9 and there's 2 races to go. So they didn't have as many cars, but it was still a good show. Unfortunately, it was once the late models race, the track locked down probably after like 5 laps or so. And then even the features after that, that was just a one lane, everybody sticking to the bottom. But the races prior to that were very good. It was interesting in the first heat. And Seymour always does this. They kind of let the first few races go by without misting the top, without watering the top, and then they start watering the top, and then the top is always dominant for a while. And Taylor Scheffler in the first late model heat started on the outside of the second row, jumped to the top right away, took the lead, and caught the tail end of the pack by the end of the 10-lap feature. And he was actually on the cool down lap. He was on the back stretch when the second place car crossed the finish line. I mean, that's how far in front he was in that race. And Nick Avalink had a 14-point lead in the point standings entering the night of racing. He was in probably the toughest heat of the night, but he won his heat, and he won. I think he started 4th or 5th in the feature. And the cars just kind of, everything just kind of worked out for him. I mean, he got to the lead, went to the top for a little bit, and then once the track locked down, he was in the lead. Troy Springborn stuck with him for a little while, and Troy finished second. But Nick is king. He won their feature, won the series. The series has been in existence for 5 years now, and he has won 4 championships. He's won the championship every time he has tried to win the championship. He didn't follow the entire tour last year. And so I have a question for you guys, and see if you can answer this. There were 10 total Dirt Kings races this year. How many features did Nick win?
Oof, I don't have that in front of me. I'm going to say not as many as I thought. Puka, you go ahead and guess first.
Oh, well, now that you said that, I was going to say 8, but now that you said that, I'll go 6.
I'm going to say 3.
3 is the correct answer. See, I would have thought more too. The funny thing is, he won 3 features this year, and 2 of them came in the last 2 weeks when the championship was on the line. So when the pressure was on, he stepped up his game and took control of the championship. Like I said, he was leading by 14 points entering the night of racing, and he wound up winning the championship by 30 points. So, both Ron Berna and Brett Swedberg struggled at Seymour. So, congratulations to Nick on a great Dirt King season. Ron Berna finished second in the points. Swedberg was third. Kyle Redant was fourth, and last year's champion Justin Richie was fifth. And it's interesting, Berna finished second this year, and in points, and he's finished second in points 2 other years in the 5 years of existence. And he finished 4th and 5th the other 2 years. So he's finished in the top 5 every year of the series. So yeah, that's what happened at Seymour.
Was Mitch McGrath there?
What's that?
Mitch McGrath? No, Mitch?
No, McGrath wasn't there. He hasn't raced too many Dirt Kings races this year.
Okay.
Kind of what stuck out to me is I've seen some really good races over at Seymour. I remember seeing, I think the last race I remember watching there, I think the 10 of Scheffler won that race. I mean, he was extremely impressive in that race as well. So I was a little disappointed seeing it locked down. I don't know if that's a lack of, I don't know why they didn't go until the track, try to farm it up, do something for the season finale. A little disappointed. Nick Andlink, I believe, I think he has 12 total wins on the year. So, man, he's put together a great season. I mean, last year, not his best season, but he was still there every night, just not as many wins as we were used to.
Right.
And he showed us all that he was the man in Eastern Wisconsin this year. Little bit disappointed with Justin Richie. He started out the beginning of the year, and he got a few wins right away, and it's like, here we go, right? He's going to get some wins. And then he just kind of cooled down throughout the summer. I think he had one just a few weeks back. Didn't he win one over at Shawano?
Yeah.
Regular night deal. But other than that, he just as good as he started out the season, it just cooled off. And I kind of expected more from him throughout the season.
I talked to Justin Richie about mid-season and, about his bad luck and, his struggles midway through the year. And I told him we'll blame it on the Full Throttle jinx because he was on the cover of the second issue of Full Throttle this year. So we have the Sports Illustrated jinx, and I told him we'll blame it on the Full Throttle jinx. And he said, "Well, I don't know if I want to do that." He said, "I don't know if I want to do that because then you'll never interview me and I'll never get any media coverage." But
you need to ask him, who do you want to interview next? Do you want to interview Avalink then, or like?
I did talk to Nick Avalink mid-year also. I think it might have been the same night that I talked to Richie, and I asked him, why, what's the difference this year that, he just seems to be having a great year this year. And he said last year when he raced at Cedar Lake one week, he tagged the wall with the car, and he knew there was something not right with the chassis, but I mean, he continued the race throughout the season. And then in the off season, he took the chassis to Mars' shop, and he said they were cutting on it and doing all sorts of stuff. So whatever they cut and added and deleted, it's working.
And because he not only ran good in Eastern Wisconsin, he traveled well. Right. I'm hoping to see him at the Punky. I'm hoping to see him at the Red Clay. I know he goes to them. Have you heard if any of them guys are going to go to them 2 shows?
Well, we Saturday night I talked to one of his crew members, and their plan is to go to Punky this weekend. And normally they go to Ashland every year also for the Red Clay Classic. Although the crew member said that Nick was kind of contemplating going to Sycamore that week because they have a Friday, Saturday show, 5,000 one night, 7,000 the next night to win. I think at the MLRA
it is.
Series.
It is. Yep. That's correct. Well, awesome stuff over there. And it's invite season, Puka, in our neck of the woods. And, of course, the invite season recap brought to you by Vernon Racing. Vernon's, they sponsored so many cars, including some of my rivals back in the day. Tyler Vernon, not the results he was looking for at the 100, but he showed lots of signs of speed in a lot of races. He was in contention to win several of the races over there, just couldn't quite seal the deal, but great to see him travel. Really one of very few cars from Wisconsin that even went to the Wissota 100. I was really disappointed with that. I get it. A lot of them stay at Cedar Lake, but we'll talk about that in just a second. Now, did you watch much? I know you watched some of the features from the Wissota 100. Of course, I was there Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I watched the features on Saturday. I have a lot of notes. And Bert, you're just going to have to buckle up because I know that you are.
That's fine. Yeah, I have some questions for you throughout this, so just go ahead.
Sounds good. So, Puka, from what you saw, and then I'll give my overall thoughts, and we can kind of banter here. I got a lot of different thoughts on the 100. What stuck out to you this year? What high points, low points? What kind of stuck out?
Well, the racing is pretty much what I expected. I mean, for the most part, pretty good. That track, they can get around it. Little big, so when they, someone, I can't remember who I even talked to today. I ran into somebody on the street and they said, some big wrecks. I said, well, yeah, when you're on a big track, you get in big wrecks. Small tracks, small wrecks. Big, lots of speed, big wrecks. The crowds looked a little light, and you could fill me in after I get done with my talk, but Saturday night looked really good, but the other nights looked a little light. And as a matter of fact, on Friday night show I was watching, it looked like there was actually a lot of silt, real like thick dust sitting in the grandstands. I was surprised to see Mars there until I found out that Sammy was in the Race of Champions, and that made sense. But he was one of the few guys that's been to Knoxville every single year since the inception. Obviously, he didn't make it this year. And my final thought, my biggest question was the streaming. So, Dirt Race Central, very loyal to WIZZOTA, do all kinds of WIZZOTA shows, obviously, during the year. And now WIZZOTA has their premier event, and they turned to Racing Dirt. So I don't know if that's something that DRC said, hey, we don't want to do it. It's too big of a production for us, or if it was a slap in the face to Ben and DRC. But I was very, very surprised that DRC was not covering this year's WIZZOTA 100.
Yeah, I was disappointed, and I don't know when that contract happened. I know there is a contract in place for Racing Dirt to have the WIZZOTA 100. In fact, they have it for one more year because last year canceled. And I'm really hoping that they work something out with Dirt Race Central because Dan, John, everybody at Dirt Race Central, that's the WIZZOTA streaming platform. I get it. Right. There's several others out there, but that is the premier one. They're always giving back. They sponsor a lot of races. They're giving back to the drivers. And it just makes sense that our hometown crew is doing that show. And honestly, I watched it on Saturday, and the quality for Racing Dirt, nothing against them, isn't as good as the quality of streaming for Dirt Race Central. A little blurry and just kind of, I don't know. I thought it was not quite as good. I'm looking forward to Dirt Race Central getting that. Pretty confident that'll happen.
Me too. Good. Me too. So what were your thoughts? Take it away.
I got a lot. It all starts with Tuesday, and I'm going to be honest with you. Like, the teching over there, I don't know where to start, okay?
Decking? WIZZOTA decking? What? It's never a problem.
So, first thing that happens Tuesday night, they got practice, right? And then they have the Hornets and the Pures on Tuesday night. And national point leader, Matthew Dittman, I don't know this guy from the Man on the Moon. I've never met him in my entire life. Leading the national points, has put together a fantastic season. He wins the feature, and Billy disqualifies him. And I had pictures sent to me and everything. It was a throttle body on this little four-cylinder, and he cleaned it all up good. I mean, it was clean, but you could tell it was still all, pitted and all that. I mean, you can tell when something's polished. Billy looked at it and said, nope, that's polished. You're disqualified, 30-day suspension, loss of all points. Everybody that I showed the pictures to, they were like, that ain't polished. What are you talking about? That's just having an incompetent tech guy. I mean, a donkey award right there to Billy Engelstead. One of many that he's going to get in this show. We're going to set a record for how many donkey awards a person get in one show. That's number one. Okay. Casey Strimick, though, he won. Now, who's Casey Strimick? Brother-in-law to Mike Gresseth.
Oh, wow.
So Mike Gresseth's brother-in-law was the first WIZZOTA 100 winner. Now, our own Corey Jorgensen from up in the Duluth area, he won the Pure Stock A-Main. Now, guys, 11 Pure Stocks at the WIZZOTA 100. Oh. So I'm glad they ran them on Tuesday, right, with the practice session. But I don't know. I think it was only $200 to win or something like that. I mean, you start looking at what it costs to get there. They did not charge them for parking because they were only there for one day. But maybe they got to do a little something if they're going to have Piers and Hornets at this event. Maybe do something to get them there. I proposed, like, if you want to have them there, just say free entry to the Piers and Hornets. Come on down and race. Do something to get them there because 11 car feature at the 100. That's just that don't even make sense, right? And the question is, why is that? There's more people there's way more Piers than that, but why did they not travel to that show? And then the Mod 4s, they ran their feature on Saturday. My opinion, run the Mod 4s on Tuesday. Man, they had a lot of cautions. Nothing against the Mod 4s, but on Saturday, guys, 9-hour program. Shorten that up, put them on Tuesday. Tommy Bowden, and I've got to be honest, you must know who this is. I think he's related to Puka. Tommy Bowden's kind of one of them flat billers, right? He's kind of, I think it's Puka's cousin. I'm not really sure, but he's been dominant. He's going to be the national champion in the Mod 4s. And, boy, he's been running good. And I'm surprised, Puka, like, that's a guy right there you're probably going to want to interview because he's one of yours. He's one of yours, okay? So I'm going to get into a little bit of results here, and then we'll talk about the A-mains. And then I got a lot of high points, low points. So how the format worked, if you're not familiar with the Wissota 100, is they run a full show Wednesday, a full show Thursday, a full show Friday, okay? On Wednesday, the top 8 finishers in the A-mains, that would line up the inside row for Saturday's A-main, okay? Now, if you weren't happy with your spot, let's say that you got 7, and you're like, well, heck, I don't want to start 19th in the feature. You can opt out of that, and then everybody will move up a spot, and then you just go ahead and race the next day. Some drivers did that for points because there was national points on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, not Saturday, which makes no sense to me. I'm not really sure why there wasn't on Saturday, but they had it Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And the late models, night 1, Don Shaw, he was dominant. He looked good. And TPO, we're going to call this the slider of the week, was TPO, Tyler Peterson, threw the big slider on Dan Ebert in the closing laps to win night 1. And remember, he's in a tight point battle with Shane Sabraski. Sabraski slid by in the second, and TPO got her done on night number 1. Now, some would argue, and I even had people message me, that wasn't the best slider. They said the best slider is when he did the slider on Mars on Saturday and drove off the side of him. I'm like, I don't know. I don't think Jimmy really liked that because he pulled up next to him on the yellow. And I don't know what all was. There must have been some hand gesturing. He wasn't happy, but if he doesn't like Jesse Glenn's sliders, I guarantee he did not like the slider that TPO put on him on Saturday. Dan Nasalki, he won the prelim. Actually, it was Dirt Dueler 1-2 in the Superstock A-main on night number 1. Nasalki, Brandon Duelman, and then our very own Cowboy Shane Howell, he parked it in victory lane at 1. He was quick. And I bet you can't guess who won the Speed Stock feature on night 1.
Not Parker Anderson.
P-Money, the 27, Parker Anderson, he got her done. Night number 2, a few drivers coming into town that weren't there for night 1 because remember, it's a whole new format. You can draw again. Didn't matter if you were there on Wednesday. You can start again on Thursday. Jimmy Mars in the house. He was there with a mod and the late model on Thursday. Was not there Wednesday. Pretty tough to bet against him winning the late model feature, right? Cole Searing held him off. Mars was there on a restart. Cole Searing kind of made a statement like, I'm here. Like, I don't just win 3-4 car features, right? He held off Jimmy Mars to win night number 2 and effectively locked up the national championship. I mean, it's basically a done deal. Jimmy Mars did win in the modified, Sabraski in the supers, Travis Schulte in the B mods, and then Jeff Nowak, he won in the street stocks. Now, Friday night's feature, Travis Budaslavich got it done. So he was quick on night 1, had the heat race, pretty much won, and then he ended up rolling the right front tire off. He got a flat tire lead, and otherwise he's probably he might have had something for him the first night. And then TPO, he got it done on night 2. What's interesting about night 2, Shane Sabraski's in a dead heat with Burdick and with Tyler Peterson. He took his spot in the A-main from Thursday and just said, screw it, I'm not even racing on Friday. That could come back to bite him in the ass, okay?
Sure.
Because I'm telling you, he's not in good position in the modified. He is in good position in the super, but that modified, when he sat out and then all of a sudden he saw TPO win that deal, that could not have been a good feeling in the stomach of Shane Sabraski. Kevin Burdick, he did park it in victory lane. He closed the gap back up as well. I'm going to say the clutch performance of the week, the nightmare, Lucas Rodin. He come from 10th, and he got her done on night number 3 to not only win from 10th, but he now has a 6-point lead over a very fast, very impressive Tony Liker. So clutch performance there, actually drove by Liker to win that one. And then Johnny Carter, your reigning national champion, the streeters, he wasn't there Wednesday and Thursday. He had to work. said, I don't need that. Come in Friday. He got her done, put himself on the front row for Saturday. So,
nice.
Saturday's A mains, okay? Now, biggest thing, how do you think Chad Becker did in the feature in the main A main? Now, he's in contention with Cole Searing, right? I believe Cole Searing, I think he got third. He was in the top 5 for sure. I should have that in front of me. I don't, but he was up there. How do you think Chad Becker did in the feature on Saturday?
Yeah, I'm not going to comment because I know.
Bert?
I don't know.
You think he got a top 10?
I'll say no.
He didn't make the show. Okay, I'm going to give him some kudos. I am, because he got 4th the first night, so he qualified in night 1. And he said, don't really feel like starting there. I don't think I can win from 10th. You know, there's too many good cars. I'm going to go out there and try again. And then he just had horrible luck. Did not make the feature. In the LCQ, he clipped the tire. And, boy, his bad luck continues.
Yeah, he's on a bad luck streak. You can just see it. It's just tough.
He is. And I'll give him kudos, though, because he tried. Now, the story, though, Jimmy Mars won the feature. But Dave Moss was impressive. He chased him down. Mars is doing what Mars does, right? Middle to bottom, smooth, steady, kind of picking off left traffic. And here comes Moss just hustling the high side. He chased him down, and it looked like it was over. Like he was gaining like 0.4 of a second a lap. Like it was over. He gets into lap traffic, and he got pinned behind a lap car. It took him too long to get back by him. Too little, too late. Great run for Moss. He got second in that. We'll talk about what happened on the parade lap. He redeemed himself in that feature. In the modified division, best race of the week by far, okay, was the modified A main. Now, the problem is nobody saw it. I don't think it started till 1:30 in the morning, right? They farmed right after the supers, and the race was good. It really was, but the end of the super stock feature, the track was just getting to where it wasn't greasy. They didn't really need to farm it. Now, I'll give them a little bit of kudos on the fact that they did not want any of the races to rubber up, and they did not in the features, okay? That was their biggest fear. They're like, we can't have a rubber down racetrack. But they probably did not need to farm it at 1 o'clock in the morning. Okay, there was a lot of people disappointed. Now, on the initial start, guys, Dan Ebert's on the pole, right? So you got Ebert on the front row, but they just farmed it. And kind of the typical thing is on a freshly farmed track, the bottom was greasy. Ebert knew that. So he fired like in St. Cloud on the start. Instant yellow, they docked him a whole row. So typically they put you back 2 spots, which would have been all the way to the outside, which would have been a huge advantage. They actually put him back a row. Kind of an interesting deal how you do that with a 3-wide start, but they put him back a row. It took him a little while to kind of get in a rhythm. TPO, I thought, was going to win that race. And I saw on Facebook, TPO made a big mistake. He decided to he choked down the carburetor, put a crate carburetor on there to kind of conserve fuel and choke it down. And the track was hammered out. That did not help his car. He outthought himself on that one. Probably cost himself a win, to be honest.
We got a podium, though, right? He was 3rd.
Yeah, he was up there. He ran good. But the race of the night, Johnny Broking, after blowing up the night before, 26th to 2nd. And he was coming. I mean, he was there, but he was just ready to kind of go after Ebert, and he overdid it just a little bit, crossed it up, got sideways. That was it. Now, so super stock feature, you guessed it, Shane Sabraski. He got her done. But I think I'm going to call one of the bonehead moves of the week, Tristan LaBarge. Donkey award to Tristan LaBarge. This kid here spent a lot of time in the A-hole shop up in Chisholm, Minnesota, working on his stuff. And I've never been more pissed off at somebody, like, unbelievable. I'm gonna post the video on here. Evidently, early this year, Sabraski, him got together. Tristan got a flat tire, and Tristan holds grudges. It is what it is. I've seen Shane race. He's not usually dirty. If it happened, it was a racing deal, in my opinion. Guys, he was lapping Tristan, right? They come off at turn 4, and Tristan turns straight left into him and drives into him, right? Didn't rattle his cage. They get down right in front of the flag man. He drives into the side of him again. Here goes Shane Sabraski pulling his inner Kyle Larson, like yard sailing it through the infield. What was that NASCAR race? I think it was Earnhardt, Labonte or something. One of them went down.
Bill Elliott, yeah.
Is Elliott?
Elliott.
Yeah, Sobraski's doing the same thing. He's down through the grass. He goes to the left side of like 3 tires. And he slides right back up onto the racetrack, keeps going, goes on, wins the race. I'm like, Tristan, what the hell is wrong with you? Why are you doing something stupid like that? So hell of a save by Sobraski to get it done, but donkey award to Tristan for sure on that one. Now, Midwest Mod A main, the Nightmare Lucas Rodin, that was probably the worst race of the features. It was black top to bottom. Finesse, he drove away. Tyler Kittner looked pretty good for a while. He got 6th. And then in the street stocks, Parker Anderson got that one done as well. So that's a little bit of a recap on the results. The Race of Champions, not real exciting. The first night, the 3 Race of Champions, they just let it go straight rubber, 15 laps, a little bit of drama in some of them. Hunter Damagala won the street stock Race of Champions. Shane Howell in the Midwest Mods. Dexton Cook, he got it done in the super stocks. Bob Broking actually got it done in the modifieds. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Now, Puka, he did not make the feature, but he was in a little bit of drama in the last chance race. Okay. Him and a guy by
Slide job?
Nope. In fact, there was some contact. Okay. They come through 3 and 4. And Bob maybe come down a little bit. I think he jumped the cushion, come down with this. Ryan Dom teed him up and ripped the whole left front tire off his car, right? And I've been around Bob long enough. I'm like, Bob's killing this guy for sure. Like, it's like he's going to kill him, right? So Ryan Dom comes pulling off the track after the race, and Bob gave him one of these. It's kind of like, like Bob gets pretty animated. The dude hits the gas, swerves at him. Bob has to jump out of the way, still clipped him a little bit. And let's just say this, Ryan Dom, Donkey Award, you can't be trying to run people over, you dumbass. Like, I can't believe Bob Broking, that crew can get feisty. I texted Bob, I said, you've been soft in your old age. Like, I'm surprised one of them guys didn't go down and beat his ass, but somebody saw it, and he got turned in. I think he's a minimum of a 30-day suspension. Like, this dude ain't racing the rest of the year, and it might be a year. I haven't heard the details, but when you try to run somebody over in a race car, that ain't cool. That's not a good thing. Budislavich, he won the Race of Champions as well. So another side note there, I was talking to Shane Hall because they had a bonus, right? If you won a preliminary feature, the Race of Champions, and the feature race, you got an extra $1,000. And Budislavich, he won a prelim night and the Race of Champions. He had a shot. I think he had 7th or something in the feature. He ran okay. Shane Howell was on the pole, and I don't think he was paying attention because it was straight grease on the bottom. He went straight backwards. He was quick at the end, but he just got caught by surprise, and that was kind of the lack of experience being over at the Wissota 100. You've got to know what you're up against there. You got to like slide up. You got to do something to get out of that slime. Now the Super Stock Race of Champions, I actually got to race that deal, kind of.
Kind of.
It's like, do I get a bigger donkey award if I'm kind of wuss out and don't race, or do I get a bigger donkey award if I'm just not fast? And well, I'll just say this: I started, I don't know, 15, something like that, and I kind of battled with the guy in front of me, that Casey Stephenson, for a while, and then I'm like, it's straight rubber, so I'm just gonna see if it rolls the bottom, and found some issues with the guy's car for him, and see if we can fix that. And I will say this: I finished 1 spot better than Dave Moss. I will say that.
Hey, there's going to be a rule next year. Bold block letters. No substitute drivers for the Race of Champions. It's going to be everywhere. Every light pole in the pits at I-94 is going to say that. You know that now.
They only had 12 supers. They didn't have enough cars, so they had a provisional. I got the past champions provisional, but thanks again, Jeff Krause Racing, for letting me do that. It was kind of fun. It was a last-minute decision deal.
My question is, how was teching after your Race of Champions? Did they go over?
Have to be fairly competitive for them to tech. And I was not. So
that
was not happening there. So, but the Race of Champions, I had a lot of people text me, comment. Them 3 were all straight rubber, not real racy, 15 laps, not really heavily promoted. If I was AFCO, I'd be like, this is kind of lame. It's like, I don't even want to be a part of it. They gotta do more for the Race of Champions, and they really screwed over Shane Sabraski. I'm a little disappointed with WISSOTA. I'm gonna give them a donkey award because every single year the Race of Champions qualifier at Grand Rapids is during the fair. Every single year, it was advertised that way. It was on my race pass that way. Everything was advertised. Sabraski wins it. He goes to draw for the Race of Champions. They're like, you ain't in it. Like, what do you mean I ain't in it? I won it in Rapids. No, you didn't. Yes, I did. And they were arguing with him. It's like, I know we won it in Rapids because I know what night it was. And somehow there was a miscommunication on what night was the Race of Champions. Bad deal. Now, they said, well, you can take a provisional start last. He's like, the hell would I do that? Kind of waste of time. And the guy that actually got in, Bob Broking, he was in anyway. So he was already in. So why not let some? I mean, it was just stupid. I mean, the way WISSOTA treats people, I'm telling you, there's some major changes needed. And we'll start with tech. First of all, screwing over that Mod 4 guy, that's ridiculous. But the most popular question, okay, they have a pre-tech deal. This is good stuff. Literally, the most popular question all weekend long through pre-tech was, so is there a half-inch tolerance or no tolerance?
I want him.
And Billy was losing his shit, right? I mean, just getting mad and yelling at people. Embarrassed, right? Somebody should have had a video camera in the tech area.
Where were you? We're counting on you.
I should have been down there with that. I would have got booted out of the tech area. I was surprised there wasn't a sign I wasn't allowed when I got there because I come down with these guys. But I'm telling you, there's professionalism, and then whatever it is that's completely the opposite, we'll just call that Billyism, okay? He's the most unprofessional human being on planet Earth. I don't get it. Like, the way that he treats people is utterly just, it's disgusting. Like, he is the face of WISSOTA because he goes to all these tracks and he's kind of the rep for WISSOTA, probably more than anybody. And the way that he conducts himself, it's abysmal. And there's a lot of drivers that were just like, this guy's just an asshole. Like, is it that hard to say, hey, you got to check this, and this, do a little adjustment? The way that he talks down to people, not cool. Not cool. His overall attitude towards life just sucks. It just does. The number one thing WISSOTA has to do, the number one thing they have to do is fire Bill Engelstad. He has to go. He has to be gone. Like, there are several people that would take the job. In my opinion, we need a head of WISSOTA Tech. Absolutely. But you'd be better off with no head of WISSOTA Teching than that guy being there, okay? He has to go. And that's the number one thing that has to happen. The other thing in teching, and it just frosts my ass, is this stupid wheel sticker violation. Are you kidding me? Like, on the wheels, street stocks, super stocks, mods, Midwest mods, the WISSOTA wheels, from Bassett and so on, they have a stamp in them. It's actually embedded, stamped in the wheel, right? And then there's a stupid little sticker on there. And if the sticker falls off, they disqualify you. That is literally the dumbest thing I've ever seen. They should be embarrassed by that. They should literally look at it and go, okay, there's clearly a stamp in the wheel. Okay, you can't run this one. If they want to do that, you can't run it for the rest of the week, and you got to get a sticker, recertify it, whatever. But disqualifying people at the WISSOTA 100 because a stupid sticker, come on. You got to be better than that, right? Another thing, okay, is I'll be honest. My favorite time of the year is invite time, and I think on a positive note, I love the atmosphere. I love visiting with people. I mean, I saw a lot of fans of the show, all the way from east to west and north to south. I mean, I saw people that are fans of the show, people I raced with, people that like, hey, race my car. I mean, it was great being there. So that atmosphere, there's nothing like the week-long or 2-day or 3-day shows for that aspect. That was a blast. National points, okay? I believe, and I want your guys' opinion on this, okay? I talked to a lot of national point chasers in all classes, right? And every one of them said the same thing. The invitationals would be so much more fun if we didn't have to worry about points. If we were going to the invites and just racing the race, racing for money, being there, experiencing it, and having fun, man, it'd be nice to go to some of these invitationals and not have to worry about that. Should the national points season end the Saturday finale of the WISSOTA 100?
Go ahead, Bert.
Of the WISSOTA 100?
Yep.
Well, my question is, what about the invitationals that are before the WISSOTA 100?
Count them. Count them.
So some invitationals are more important than other invitationals for points?
As far as points go, but when you're talking Labor Day weekend, it's so split up because there's like 12 different races going on, right? So, and there's still Labor Day weekend, technically there's still track points that weekend. So there's a lot of shows that are just regular shows over Labor Day weekend. So really the only other weekend is the weekend before, right? And maybe they could end it, whatever the final race of, final last points night is of track points, end it there and then have like a championship weekend or something like that. But it would just the aura, the hype, the significance. I mean, me, okay, and this is me, and I want you guys' opinion. What makes a special, right, is when you have representatives from all these different regions. So like in the Midwest, I'll use the Midwest mods because they had the most cars, right? You had the Likers from Wyoming. You had Swedberg and Heinzerling from out in western South Dakota. You had Lucas Rodin and company from North Dakota. You had Nichols and Brotherton from South Dakota. You had from central Minnesota, you had Grunwald and Shane Howell. And northern Minnesota, you had, Tyler Kittner, and you had Vernon coming from Wisconsin, right? You got Aaron Blacklands from up in the Greenbush area. You got all these top guys from all these different areas competing head to head, and gals, because Kennedy Swan and Ashley Merworth, horrible luck, but fast. I mean, they were fast, horrible luck. In fact, the worst, if we're going to go with the worst call of the week, Ashley Merworth got absolutely just railroaded. She got straight out dumped in the middle of the back straightaway on night one, and the officials said, well, there's no one behind you. Really? I mean, like, watch the tape, right? I mean, but here's the deal. Another thing is officiating. The officials, they didn't have any. They had the two people on the flag stick. There was no corner workers or nothing. How can that? I don't get it. How can that possibly be a thing? Made no sense. So they missed some calls because they just didn't have enough manpower. But back to the points deal. Do you think that would make the WISSOTA 100 that much more special if your premier event was the ending of the national points title?
I'm torn on it. For a fan, I think we go the distance, but I can see as a racer, you lock that up at the 100 in front of a big crowd, I know there's the banquet stuff, but I think it's pretty much racers and maybe a little family goes to the banquet. Get the award at the track in front of the big crowd, all your competitors with you in the pits, friend and foes. Like I said, I hadn't really thought about that till you brought it up, but I can see kind of both sides of the argument there, or at least, I guess they wouldn't work because, like I said, they go every other direction. Because it would be nice to get that award. I mean, you're a former national champion. Would you have rather presented the award at the banquet or at the track? I mean, you could do both, obviously, at the track and then they rehash it at the banquet. But do you think it would have been really cool at the 100 or something like that to be presented at Victory Lane? Kind of like the Challenge Series on Labor Day weekend?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of a cool deal. But I think it just comes how much you play it up, how much you hype it up, right? And honestly, like for the life of me, WISSOTA didn't even know what the points were. They had no idea. Like the announcers are announcing like some totally off base stuff because they're like a week or two behind on all their points. I'm like, how can WISSOTA not have the points updated for the announcers at their premier event? They didn't even know what the points were. Like I'm texting them saying, that's not right. Here's the points, right? And they're like, thank you, Ryan Aho, for, Twitchy was giving them some results. Thank you for giving us the proper points. How can that possibly be? So I think it all comes down to how you hype it up. But I've actually had national titles won like, I had them won by the end of August. There was a couple I'm like, it was over, and there was a couple that took to the last race of the year. So I guess it depends if you're leading or not. If I'm behind in points, I want to go further. If I'm ahead of points, we want to end. But as the driver's aspect, I see it because Shane, Burdick, they're like, I'm over this. Like, I just want to race. Like, it's wearing on a few of them, and I can tell you right now, once the points is done, if you win it, then it's like, a load off your shoulders. But I'm just looking for ways to make that event more special, right? Yeah. More special.
Well, maybe they should include the features of national points. That'd be a good start.
That would help. Yeah, that would be a valid deal.
Just an idea. Just float that out there.
No track prep. I had a lot of people message me, the track prep sucked and this and that and the other. I'll be honest with you, I don't think it was bad. I think there was some races. I mean, that many cars and all that, you're going to have some good races. You're going to have some bad races. I truly believe that. I've heard differing stories, right? I've heard some reliable sources say track prep was 100%. The decisions were made by I-94. And then I had other people say 100% of the track prep decisions were made by WISSOTA. I don't know. I haven't had any confirmation. I will say this, okay? Except for the one night, it didn't rubber. And it was at the end of the night for the Race of Champions, which sucked because the Race of Champions should be special, right? So they shouldn't have let that rubber up. It is what it is. But throughout last year at the King of Dirt, it rubbered up a lot. I mean, they had to farm it like 3 times a night just to get rid of the rubber. That didn't happen. But you also can't have 45-minute farming sessions, right? I mean, on the final night, there was only 11 races to be had, right? They had 5 LCQs, which we'll talk more about that in a second too, but 5 LCQs, and then they had 6 features. The LCQs were done. They started at 5. They were done by 6:40, okay? They didn't get done racing until 2 a.m. They had 6 features to do. They farmed it multiple times. They were all over 30 minutes, I think as much as 45 minutes. And I get it. Each racetrack only has so much equipment. So a suggestion would be this. Okay. Most tracks are done racing by that point. There's a lot of area tracks. So what I think WISSOTA should do is connect with the tracks in the area prior to the 100 and say, look, we need more equipment for this race. So when we go to farm it, we have 3 or 4 track prep crews out there farming it all on the same page at the same time. So you can farm a whole racetrack in 10 minutes, right? And it takes more equipment. You can't expect Fergus Falls to go buy a whole much more equipment for one race. But I know that other tracks in the area, if WISSOTA paid for the expense of getting that stuff to the facility, there's not a doubt in my mind that they'd be like, hey, we want to help out the WISSOTA 100. Even if they had to lease it from them or whatever, I'm pretty sure that would happen. So my suggestion, work with them other area tracks, get more equipment there. So when you do farm it, it's bang, 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 get it done instead of this 45-minute deal. Other than that, on the track prep, obvious stuff, right? More moisture, more entertainment. Not slime. Slime ain't no good. But the tracks that had, once the sun went down, the track held a little bit more water, starts at 80 degrees, windy, sunny. What do you expect, right? But after that, the track got better. Obviously, the later in the night it went, the more the water held. They had a little bit on top, a little bit on bottom. So I think that's something they got to start out with a little heavier. Then you got to be careful when you farm it, and it's greasy all over the place. The super stock feature was a debacle because at the start of it, it was straight slime. The bottom, the top wrecked a bunch of cars. They got to be a little bit more aware of that. But other than that, I think the racing was good. Amazing facility. I mean, if you haven't been to Fergus Falls, to the I-94 Sure Step Speedway, Don Shaw and the crew over there have done a fantastic job. I mean, that place is beautiful. I mean, the grandstands, everything's painted. It looks nice. The infield's all grass. I mean, it looks the part. I mean, it's a really top-notch facility. New showers. Speaking of showers, another donkey award to some dumbass who decided, hey, I'm going to take a shit in the shower. Like,
drop the deuce.
There's always some dumbass out there that does stuff like that. I mean, literally what you got to do is, like, if you walk in the shower after somebody and there's shit on there and you're like, that guy did it, you need to call that person out on Facebook for being a moron, right? Because that just That's just ridiculous. I mean, you can't be doing that, right? Teching, we talked about the board. WISSOTA board. This is the one event of a year that WISSOTA has to do, right there, one event. And I'm going to give a tip of the cap to the members of WISSOTA that did work their tails off, because there's some of them, and I'm not going to call out names because I don't know who and what did exactly everything, but I do know that I personally saw some of the WISSOTA representatives doing actual work to make this show happen. So to them, tip of the cap. To the other board members who thought it would be a good idea to show up for free and just simply drive around and do nothing the whole weekend, please tender your resignation. Please. Just quit. Just quit. Let somebody else take that position because you don't deserve it. Like, and I know there's a few that did that. So if you're one of those WISSOTA members, right, that literally showed up and did nothing, please, I'm begging, for the betterment of the sport, tender your resignation. You're no longer needed. Let somebody else take that job. Guys, I think that's how boards work, isn't it? I mean, you always got a few that do all the work and a few that stand around and do nothing. I hate that. It just annoys me. Another thing, for me as a fan, and I'm going to ask you guys your opinion. At a special event, other than seeing different cars from different regions competing, right? And I'm talking about a spectacle, right? Because there's a difference, in my opinion, of putting on a race and putting on an event, okay? Now, the question I have, what are some things that stick out to you? Top 3 things as far as making an event an event. Is there anything that sticks out other than just the racing aspect?
You want me to go first?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I think for the racing fan today, a big part of it's the camping experience. A lot of people like to camp, to pull the trailers, and I'm not a camper. I'm a hotel guy. A little bit too late at the track for me, a little bit too noisy, a little bit too late. But I think the camping experience is big. I think getting out of town, and I think they are out of town. I think they're just something about campfires, the camping experience. I guess I'd have to think about this a little more as far as actual event, but even just, something that I've always thought of too is even just your, if you get the little tear-off ticket that you can buy at a dollar store, it's a lot different than getting an event ticket, because you get an event ticket, like a concert ticket, you know what happens? I still have my first concert ticket from 1988. You save them. They're just something. I have every NHL game ticket. I throw them in a little box. I don't know why, but I always have. And obviously, I realized when I moved that I always had, so I keep doing it. I guess I'd have to think about a little bit more on that, but go ahead, Bert.
Well, for me, this kind of goes with the racing aspect of it. But to me, a racing event for me is when you have drivers from the top drivers from other areas there. It's just not the core drivers from the local area. You get drivers from outside the area. Because I always want to see, to me, what makes a racing event an event is seeing the best of the best compete against each other. But that includes the racing, and you asked me not to include racing in it. So I kind of broke the rules there. But I think another thing is having other things to do during the day when there is no racing going on. That's one of my things about multiple day shows is, I love the racing at night. You go to the hotel, you sleep, and then there's nothing to do from, the time you wake up until 6:00 at night when the racing starts. Like for the USA Nationals, my friends and I, we tend to just go to the track early in the afternoon, just sit in the parking lot and talk, because we don't go tubing and that sort of thing. But if you have tubing events and other things going on, to me, that makes an event.
Yeah, and I think that some of that stuff would be cool to coordinate for sure. Guys, they canceled the meet and greet. Oh, how do you cancel the meet and greet? That's one thing you got all week long. You got all the top drivers, all the national point contenders. There should be like one day where they have like a barbecue. Hey, here's your top 10 in national points in each class. Get some cars up, get the kids involved, whatever. They didn't do any of that. How about this? at the end of the feature on prelim nights, I'm telling you what, it's tough to win. You win that first prelim night, that's your full field of cars you're competing against. They didn't have any feature win interviews, no checks for the prelim winners, no trophies, no nothing, right? And I'm talking like, if they don't want to take all the time to do that, I get it. I mean, that short little victory lane speech, but we're talking 2-3 minutes. They come down for a picture in victory lane anyway. Why on earth are they not interviewing the winners? Why on earth, why are they not the next day going and saying, we want to actually do some interviews with last night winners? Why? There's no recognition, no hype. It took a couple days before I even saw posts on winners on a couple of them. So just no event stuff, right? That kind of stuff really bothered me on the racing side of it. Going, they don't know how to recognize people. They don't know how to promote, right?
Well, that's what you're saying about the national champs. That recognition there in front of that big crowd. You make a good point there, where it really feels special. Like NASCAR, right at the track.
Now, another thing is the LCQ. Okay, now Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you have an opportunity to get in, and then Saturday, if you haven't made the show, everybody should be in an LCQ for one last chance to get in, right? Nope, only the next 16 in accumulated points. You're there all week. Literally, they spent God knows how long dicking around all day on Saturday. They could have probably ran 5 more races. In my mind, this was a common complaint. I had a lot of people text me and say this was absolute nonsense with soda. If somebody's there for the 100, everybody that's not in the show should run an LCQ on Saturday, okay? Not just the next 16. That's asinine. It makes no sense to me. In most cases, it wouldn't have been that big of a deal. In fact, late models, there wasn't even enough for a second one anyway, right? But for a few of the classes, if they had some rough luck, give them another chance to get in. And they do this lottery draw deal for the final 3 spots. We're just going to draw out 3 random names and put 3 people in the feature. Why would they do that, right? Why don't they just do a whole nother race and let them earn their way? It just made no sense why they did that. Hardest crash, Lindsey Hansen ended upside down in a B-mod, folded his frame underneath, and that was, the hardest crash of the weekend, Lindsey Hansen. He was okay, knocked out. He was all cold getting into turn 1. He crashed hard. Did you see the street stock guy? I texted Kraus to see, Fast Freddy, that's what it was. So Fast Freddy, he's an older guy. I don't know if you saw it. Maybe you saw it on Facebook. A street stock guy got together, went down through the infield in the back straightaway, and he's got these cement pillars. So this was kind of like the craziest moment, and they got him there because a lot of times when the cars hit a yellow, they park in the infield. This guy went straight across, hit the cement barricade, drove right over the top of it. I'm like, good Lord, dude, these Dukes of Hazzard.
Luke Duke.
So Fast Freddy, glad you're okay after that one. No, another thing, contingency prizes. We talked about this, right? IMCA Boone Super Nationals. There were so many contingency prizes, you couldn't even see the car. There was a couple prizes that were pretty good. My Race Pass gave some stuff out. There's a few other ones, right? You want to know what the lion's share of the contingency prizes were for the drivers on random draws? I can't make this shit up. Can koozies, hats, and T-shirts. Are they shitting me? Really? Carson, come on. Donkey award to Carson for this utter stupidity here. First of all of those prizes.
Were they wanting to go show koozies and hats?
We're never going to give a contingency award to a racer called a can koozie. That will not happen. Okay, ever. Okay, now all of those prizes, right, should have been prizes. When you're talking hats, T-shirts, can koozies, stuff like that, don't give that to the drivers. Give that to the fans. Announce it in the grandstands. Hey, we got this from Speedway Motors. We got this from whoever else. Give that away in the crowd. The drivers looked at that and they're like, I got text messages on that too. How do you like these contingency prizes? A can koozie. It's like, are you kidding me? Come on. And unbelievable. Now, sponsors for the Wasona 100. I'm not sure if there was another sponsor other than Speedway Motors. Okay. So there's 2 things here. One is This is the biggest race of the year for WISSOTA. Wouldn't you assume they have more than one sponsor? Fair to say? You'd think. So if they don't, again, Carson, get your ass to work, okay? And if they do, Carson, turn in your resignation because you really dropped the ball. Because there was no banners in all of the infield or nothing. Like, if there was another sponsor other than Speedway Motors, nobody knew about it. Nobody. Like, that sponsor should call them up and say, I want my money back, because literally nobody even knows we sponsored the event. I don't know if there was more than Speedway Motors, but if there was, man, you know, we've all seen dirt racing all over the place. World of Outlaws, Lucas, they got their banners for their sponsoring event all over the place. They had none of that. Made no sense to me. We talked about the best slider, the most clutch performance. We talked about that. We have another one here. Worst call we talked about. I will say this. We talked a lot about full searing this year, right? And we give them a little shit, really did, about 3-car feature wins and cherry picking and all that. His last few nights here, his last few shows, he's worthy. He's fast. He's legit. He's as advertised. He's better than what people think. I was pretty happy to see him run well at the WISSOTA 100. Very happy with the representation from out west. Good contingent of cars from Montana, Wyoming, Western Dakotas. Great to see. Very little representation from the state of Wisconsin. WISSOTA, Carson, pay attention. Pay attention. If you're not getting representation from Wisconsin at the WISSOTA 100, that tells you where you have work to do for the 2022 season. They're only down, what are they down to, 5 tracks over there? And I heard SK's dropping WISSOTA next year too. So
Ashland Superior, Rice Lake, Menominee. Who's the last one? Or SK.
Yeah, that's it. So that, I'm telling you, WISSOTA's in big, big trouble over there, and they need to do something about it. The biggest shit show of the WISSOTA 100. So I'm going to ask you guys' thoughts on this, because I've had varying opinions on it. So what they do is, once all the cars qualify, right, after the LCQs, before the feature, they take all the qualifiers from all the classes, bring them out on the track, and then they take, I don't know, it's almost 2 hours to like get them all organized and set up and parade around the track and have a little music playing for 5 laps, and then they pull them off the track. First of all, what's your guys' thoughts of that? And then I'm going to tell you what happened.
Well, I'll be honest with you. When the WISSOTA 100 was at Cedar Lake Speedway, and when I was in MJ McBride's pit crew and we'd race at the WISSOTA 100, that was actually one of my favorite things. Was, well, they only had 3 classes, 3 features running on Saturday night for that, and they had all the feature cars for those 3 features, and I think it was late models on the outside, mods on the inside, super stocks on the very inside, and then they do a parade lap. Late models would pull off in turn 1, another parade lap, mods would pull off. They double up the next lap, and then the super stocks are racing their feature. I thought that was cool. I don't know how they do it now. I don't know if the track is configured the same as Cedar Lake, where you're able to pull off each lap and that sort of thing. I think if it's done right, it's very cool.
Okay, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen pictures of that. I don't know. I mean, again, for the time it takes, I don't know if it adds any value. Is that at the beginning of the program, kind of when everything's just getting started, or
after the LCQs, before the feature?
Yeah, see, I would probably nix it. I mean, if you're doing 3 classes like Bert said at Cedar Lake, and Cedar Lake knows how to run an efficient program, that's different. But to line up 50 different classes, it doesn't add any value to me. I'm split as a driver and a fan. It's 2 different things. And I've had a lot of people reach out because I've asked people what they thought. It's about split, right? I've had half of them say, hey, I think that's one of the coolest things I've seen. And I have other people saying it's absolutely dumb. As a racer, I hated it because
I was the guy that had my car up on jack stands, and I don't like it. It was like a break in my routine. It's like I don't want to have to set the car down off stands, go out there, tool around, put packing tires on, come back in, put it on stands. I don't want to do all that, right? I don't want to do all that. I get it. Drivers are willing to do it for the crowd. If the crowd likes it, great. It's not the same as Cedar because you have to, the way that you exit, you can't turn that sharp right. You kind of got to go through. But here's how unorganized it was. It took forever this year. It was not a good deal. Chuck Swenson's car died. I think it was in the front straightaway. Did you guys see the picture? I think I sent you the pictures of that, right? His car died. Clearly, nobody behind him was paying attention because they all were cording it up. Next thing you got Prochnow underneath the guy. It's like, how embarrassing. Like, you wad up half the field on the parade of champions. And then Dave Moss, did you hear about that? In his Dave Moss' tire fell off while rolling down the infield. So he redeemed himself, of course, in the late model feature, getting the second, but it was a disaster. It was like, probably one of the best posts I saw was from Clayton Wagaman. He posted, marking myself safe from the shit show or whatever, marking myself safe from the Parade of Champions. I'm like, that's good stuff.
That's good.
So overall, great facility. Most of the racing was pretty good. I mean, you're never going to be at a dirt track, guys, where every single race is good. That just ain't going to happen.
Right.
It's just not realistic. But I would say, overall, I think as far as what Fergus Falls had to do, the I-94 Step Speedway with the facility, the sound system, the announcers, the racing, I'm going to give them a solid grade. I'll probably give them a B+ on that. Could have been a little bit more moisture to start the night, but overall, I think it was pretty good. WISSOTA's involvement in that show, I'm gonna give them probably a D+. I just am. I think that they don't show any initiative as far as hype. They don't have a growth mindset of how we can make things better. Nickeling and diming drivers, cutting the purse, charging for pit parking, no contingency awards. Then when they do have them, it's can koozies and T-shirts, not recognizing the winners, literally seeing board members walking around doing nothing, not even helping anybody out. To the ones that helped out, hey, I'm going to give them a higher grade because they helped out, but everybody's got to pitch in to make this deal work. So I think there's a lot of room for improvement. Glad I got to be there. Glad I got to be a part of it. It was fun. And anything else on the WISSOTA 100? That was the big one. So there was obviously going to be a lot more content, a lot more to talk about, a lot of stuff.
We're an hour into that one. We got to Seattle. We got to move on.
Yeah, good thing there ain't a whole lot other than that happened. Legendary 100. Bert, did you watch anything from Cedar Lake?
No, I just saw the last 10 laps or so of the modified feature where it was slider galore.
That was I heard, and I haven't confirmed this, but I heard Daryl Nelson was up next to him on a restart and basically told him I'm sliding it. It's coming. I think he was messing with something.
Yeah, I heard that too.
Yeah. Daniel Bargender got it done in Puka. He ran well up in Hibbing too. He works for MB. Impressive. AJ.
Oh, he was. Okay. Yep. I was wondering. Young guy. Huh?
Yep, young guy. He works at MB. AJ Demo dominates again. Just flat out killed him. Probably the biggest disappointment. Terrence Spacek had it won. It was over. Come off of turn 4. He got between turn 4 and the flag stand, and he broke a set of gears in the middle of 3 and 4. And Kyle Kopp stole the show right at the line. I expected more out of Jesse Radetsky. He went backwards. I'm telling you, I was surprised. I did not expect. That was a show right there. I'm like, how do you bet against Jesse Radetsky at Cedar? He was.
How about Nick Paninsky causing that caution with 3 laps to go on Saturday's late model feature and they gave him his spot backs? I thought this was, tough. Did you see that? He was expecting to go to the back, and he stopped a couple of times. Gave him his spot back. It's like what? That was baffling.
That was. And he's a guy that's actually been running pretty good. I've seen him turn some pretty good laps. That's a guy right there to keep an eye on the rest of the year and then moving into next season. Light crowd. Fergus's crowd is
light crowd.
We got a big grandstands. Light during the week was pretty good on Saturday, but I wouldn't say either one of them were full. Not a huge fan of the format. Other than that, at Cedar Lake, anything really stick out to you? Anything big? Anything really stick out?
Nothing real big for me, but just Harry Hansen, the only guy from the iron range with the balls to go down there, just disappointing. I mean, I know there were reasons, some went to the 100 and they have their reasons, but a lot of iron range cars sitting home. That was disappointing. What's Harry in his 60s? The only guy with the balls to do it. No Hannah again. They're waiting for the freebies, I guess. They're just waiting to get the call. Say, hey, we don't have a good enough car. Come here for free. Jake Tim in the mod. I didn't see the late model. Was the late model there?
I don't think so.
I didn't see it, and Sorensen wasn't there, so that was a little disappointing. Tim with that big win though the one night in the prelim, and then shout out to FYE. They're pretty added on the replays. They're better at the replays than Racing Dirt and DRC and some of these. They were on it on the.
Hold on, I'm going to stop you right there because FYE TV is Dirt Race Central.
Oh, okay. So
that is Dirt Race Central. Chris is he brokered the deal to make that event happen. So that is the Dirt Race Central staff.
The guys, okay. Because they did a lot of replays and pretty quick, and so that was kind of nice to see. Even after that modified race, replay and some between. So after the mod interviews and then as the late models are working in the track, they're showing Darrell Nelson's 15 slide jobs in 5 laps. It was pretty cool. But yeah, that was kind of it for me as far as the one legendary.
And 2 totally different races, right? The mod feature at Cedar Lake ended up being probably the best one with all them sliders at the end on a clean black surface. And then the mod feature at Fergus, totally different surface, hammer down, cushion, slide job, and crossovers. That was the best race there, but 2 totally different surfaces. The mods were the best. Now, Thunder Bay. How about this, Puka? Racing back north of the border. Do you know the last time they had a race in Thunder Bay? I don't have that date in front of me. I tried to find
it. I was there in '99 at Mosquito. They had a $10,000 modified race, but I think Mosquito's it was running maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I think. Still, they've been racing because they've been doing that 10,000 win B mod race. Vandekamp's been going.
Is that the only race they had? Was it a kind of one-off deal a year? And was that Nolalu or whatever? Is that in Thunder Bay or was that right?
Yeah, that's Nolalu, or whatever. That's Mosquito Speedway. It's a little bit out of town. It's like Proctor and Duluth kind of thing.
Oh, it is. Okay, so it's close. It was close. Yeah. I never been to that one. I remember the old Riverview, but I was super happy to see this track opening up. And, looking at it here, Joel Kreiderman. How about that? Joel Kreiderman making laps in a Midwest Modified. They had like 50-some Midwest mods. I felt like I had it in front of me here, but they had 50, I think it was 55 Midwest mods over there, which was absolutely impressive. Here it is. Yeah, 55 Midwest mods. Another couple names, Tom Smart.
Oh, yeah, 61.
Kevin Monteith. He was 3 Midwest mods. So some of the old guys that we got, old guys, which I could use, right? But the winners there, David Simpson in the Midwest mods, Tanner Williamson and Cole Chernosky won the supers. Night number 2, the mods, Dayton Brady. I don't know who that is. Good to see that. Colin Chaschuk, who still has the biggest cheer that I've ever seen in the history of the Gondik Law Speedway. And then Scott McKinnon in the supers. So great to see racing back up there. I'm going to have to make it a goal. Once these borders open back up, maybe we'll have to make a trip up there. I want to get up north of the border, visit up in Thunder Bay, and got a lot of people I'd like to see up there, and I want to get to a race up there. Did either one of you get to see any of the action? It was streamed. I did not get to watch any of it yet. I have access to it. I'm going to watch it. I just haven't been able to see it yet.
Who was it streamed with?
Speed Sport.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah, I didn't even.
It was I don't know the name of it, but it was anything.tv is Speed Sport affiliated. Okay. So we'll be able to maybe take a look at that. So let's take a look back the national scene, right? The national scene this past weekend. Of course, the biggest race of the week, the Knoxville Dirt Late Model Nationals.
I thought you were going to say Texas.
Oh, yeah, everything's bigger in Texas except Dirt Late Model Racing, because that's not so much the case, okay? So we'll talk Knoxville first. because I got some thoughts on the Texas deal. But I'm going to tell you, Turbo, I mean, he was the show all weekend. I mean, he won the first 2 nights, and then it looked like they got some rain. It was going to be hammered down. He basically had it won again on the finale and broke a set of gears. Yellow saved him, so he was able to get it fixed, got back out, and he put on a show. He charged up. I think he was up to 5th, and then I think Bishop got him and got 6th at the end of that. But he was impressive. Puka Marlar's a guy that you basically said, is he going to win anymore? And well, he got her done. He parked.
He was my pick. He got the new Longhorn.
Right. So what else stuck out to you guys over at Knoxville?
Go ahead, Bert.
Like you said, I mean, Turbo was definitely the main thing with the show, winning 2 features and should have won the 3rd. But a good run for Earl Pearson Jr. Racing for the first time for Jason Papich prepared car. I was actually watching the feature and I'm like, who's number 46? And then, that's Earl Pearson Jr. and he finished 4th. So I mean, that's a great start for him racing for a new team basically. So that was good to see. And as I'm watching that first feature, I'm thinking, where's Superman? And so then I had to look in the final rundown, and he finished like 21st or something. I'm not 26th. Quite sure.
Who got 3rd?
Who got 3rd?
Ricky Weiss.
Ricky
Weiss on the podium. He's been waiting a long time to get on the podium. So that a special tip of the cap to our friend from north of the border. Man, he's been struggle bus all year long. So he got a much, much needed podium here in the late part of the season.
Yeah, and JD, like I said, with that JD's back to 3rd in points. So you got to wonder now, after, of course, everything happens, is he second guessing Texas? He's pushed back to 3rd. He was overheating or something like that. He pulled off pretty early. But like I said, yeah, Herb was kind of the big story. Ricky Weiss was a big story. Strickler, coming off a pretty strong world, top 5 on Thursday, top 5 on Friday, started up front. He didn't finish really well. I think it was like 19th, but, he's again showing some signs of life. But Ricky, just grinding all year, that team just isn't giving up. The results just haven't been there. Brake problems, I think it was, brake problems on Thursday, salvaged a 4th, broken oil pump on Friday, scratched tonight, changed engines, still plays 30. We've seen it. He can't qualify, and he's starting towards the back. He's passed a lot of cars this year. It's like, does the guy deserve a win? Because I kind of think he does at this point. We're into the middle of September. The guy deserves a damn win.
I'm going to go on the under on that. I just don't think he's getting one this year.
I don't think so either.
I'd like to see it, but I just don't see it happening. I was super happy to see him get a podium. That was a big, big deal for him right there. So that's about it from Knoxville, Texas, right? The Texas Dirt Nationals or whatever they called it down there. $50,000 to win. The first thing that came to mind when they scheduled it, I'm like, why are you scheduling a $50,000 to win late model show against Knoxville? What the hell's wrong with you? Why would you do such a thing? And the car count wasn't great. And they had like Bert said, they had a handful, probably more bigger names than I thought would go. It wasn't spectacular, but straight rubber. What stuck out to you guys?
Well, like I said, more name drivers showed up there than I thought there would, and there was only a handful, but I didn't think there's going to be. I thought maybe 3, 4, but I was surprised Devin Moran made the trip there. He was one of them that I was surprised went there, and there are some regional drivers from the Midwest who made the trip out there too. That kind of surprised me a little bit. But the thing that jumped out, I didn't really follow what was going on. And Sunday, I Googled to see who won there, and I saw Overton did, and then I read some stuff. And yeah, Overton won the 30-lap feature that paid $50,000 to win. I'm thinking, 30 laps for $50,000 to win? Are you kidding me? So that's the thing that really stuck out in my mind.
Yeah, that's what he said. I never won a 30-lap feature for $50,000 before. But it sounds like they had a tire shortage down there. They changed the tire compound without telling. Certain drivers were a little upset about that. And kind of had some format changes. So there was a little bit of drama throughout the week down there. And then I'll be honest, it rubbered on like lap 5 or something. I mean, it was just straight rubber. In fact, Moran was in second. They were in lap traffic. And towards the end of that deal, he went a lane up to kind of make a run at him. And he fell back to fourth when he got back in the line. And it's kind of one of those deals where I'd rather go backwards trying to win than just stay in line and get second. So you're at least going to try it. So kudos for him for trying. Track prep down there was abysmal. I mean, you gotta get some moisture. You can't. You have a $50,000 to win late model race, and you're trying to put on a big show, and you don't farm it for that feature. I don't know. That just does not make sense. I don't understand. I don't know if there was weather in the area. I don't really know why they didn't farm it. But even Overton and Victory Lane, he said, I wish they would have farmed it so the crowd could have had a little bit better show. I'll take it. It's $50,000, but at the end of the day, I mean, there couldn't have been anybody really happy. It wasn't very entertaining. So
yeah, what wasn't much of a crowd there anyway. You saw that.
Was it pretty light?
Oh gosh, it was.
And
if they had 2,000 people, I'd be shocked.
Oh really?
Yeah,
so it wasn't like Bristol then.
Yeah, there was nobody in the grandstands, but they must be making their money on streaming because they announced they're going to have it next year. So I'm sorry, Bert, go ahead.
Well, no, I interrupted you, but I was reading the roundtable discussion on Dirt today, and they were talking about Texas, and one of their complaints was way too many divisions for a big late model show. And you got to remember, this is the same group that promoted that in Bristol, and it seems like, I mean, Puka said maybe they get their money from the streaming, but it seems like they try to get a bunch of money from the back gate by having all these divisions, hoping that all these cars will come from the different divisions. And, could you imagine the USA Nationals if they had 7 divisions racing, for that show, like they did in Texas? I mean, the fans just don't want to see that. And another complaint that they cited on Dirt was that apparently it's hard to find the video from this race because the promoters don't want to share it with other media outlets. You know how Dirt always has the features for all the outlaw races, all the regional series. I went to Dirt hoping I could watch the Texas feature, but it's not on there. So apparently they wouldn't give it to Dirt.
Yeah, it's on Race XR Plus is what it is. And I get it. I mean, the person that's in charge of the group promoting the event owns his own streaming platform. Right. So I get it. I mean, at the end of the day, but I'm telling you, and even I watched the replay, and they cut everything out, right? You see, there might be a little drama or a little something happen, and it's just like it cuts from when the yellow happens to boom, instantaneously we're at the restart. I want to see the whole thing, right? If I'm going to watch a replay of something, I want to choose if I fast forward through something, right? I don't want them to just cut out, because how many times they cut out something you're like, that would have been good. What happened there? Quit being soft. You can't cut this stuff out. So overall, I think this was a fail. In my opinion, as far as entertainment goes. The Bristol deal was in March. Nobody else racing, right?
Right.
But the Vegas deal's in November. Everybody in like most cross country's done racing. They're doing this in the heart of like the postseason stuff all across the country. Not really good timing, and a lot of the race fans are like, we got our hometown invitational. We're going to that. We ain't going to Texas. So I think it was just a poorly planned deal. It's sad to me that they're doing it again, because I think that going against the Knoxville Nationals is stupid.
Well, who knows if they're doing the same weekend, but they announced they're going to have 2022. But yeah, maybe they'll change things up, because there's what's going on next weekend. Nothing. Well, Lucas up in Jackson, I guess.
Brownstown.
Yeah. I mean, if they do this again next year and do it against the Knoxville late model race, that's idiotic. I mean, what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing twice and hoping for a different result the second time.
Exactly.
And because I'm sure a lot of Overton's happy, but the drivers aren't too happy. So, who was it? Max Blair said, "Well, we should have just went to Knoxville. We made a mistake by coming to Texas."
Right, and that's going to stick in a lot of people's minds, and that's kind of one of the things when they really don't run weekly or much dirt racing stuff, right? How good a track prep are they going to do, right? I mean, I know you take the USA Nationals at Cedar, which is always pretty good, right? Well, the local guys are a little upset because throughout the season, they're playing around with clay and they're trying this and they're trying that. And some of the regular season, the drivers are going, what the hell are they doing? Well, they're working the clay to try to find the right deal for the USA Nationals, what they're doing. And when you only race one weekend out of the year, a couple weekends out of the year, you don't get that. So I raced down in Texas at that track. Did you? We're both coughing here, right? Did you see the tunnel? Overton mentioned that. He goes, one of the coolest things here is the tunnel. Because you see a lot of tracks that have a wall opening, like Fergus, right? They got a wall opening. Nobody hit it, thank God, but it's easy to get hooked into that wall opening in the back straightaway. It's there. The only exit to the racetrack, you have to go through the infield and down under turn 1 and 2 to get out. Kind of a neat deal. So they're aware of it, but just kind of the NASCAR technology, no wall opening. So that's it from Texas. World of Outlaw Sprint Cars, they were over in, California. They had the Tom Carlton Classic over there. And I didn't know this until I read up on it, but that was the whole reason Carson Macedo got in a sprint car. That was his uncle, right? So he actually won that the last 2 years, and super emotional victory. Second biggest win of his career, $21,000 to win this race. It was only a week or two ago he had one that he won that was $25,000, but a pretty emotional win. Anything stick out to you from the World of Outlaw Sprint Cars?
I did watch the highlights of that feature, and what stuck out to me was Brad Sweet started on the front row, led most of the race, and then went backwards. He was back to third at one point, and you just don't see that happen too often with Brad Sweet. And another interesting thing from the race was Schuhart was running up near the front, and his front wing broke. And we talk, they talk about in NASCAR about aerodynamics, and they talk about it in late models. I can just imagine how tough that is to drive when your front wing is broke. He actually slowed down, brought out the caution, they changed it out, and he charged back up to fifth and finished in the top 5. So, it's a good run for him despite the broken wing.
Yeah, that's a solid run. The cars don't turn if you got no downforce on those front tires. That's for sure. So what do you say we get to some who's hot and who's not hookah? Brought to you by?
Yeah, the official drink of the One to Go show, Blue Line Brews, and Justice is Coming. I think it was in Rambo where he says Justice is Coming. Justice is the name of the newest brew from Blue Line Brews. It's going to be a real light brew. And October is coming, and October is the month where they do some of their donations. So we've talked about Blue Line Brews, and what they're committed to is giving 10% of their profits to families who had the unfortunate, tragic incident of having an officer fall from their family. So they target these families. You can nominate families. As a matter of fact, go to Blue Line Brews on Facebook, give them a like, and you can actually nominate families that have experienced this kind of tragedy. So 10% of profits from Blue Line Brews back to these families. Donation month, next month, October, bluelinebrews.com, or else just go ahead and click down in the show notes. It'll bring you right over there. And we've got stakeout. We've got the detective special. And like I said, Justice is coming. So keep your eyes out for that. Blue Line Brews.
Awesome. So, Bert, who do you have? Who's hot?
Well, I'm going to start off with Nick Avalanche. Won his another Dirt Kings feature and secured the championship in winning the feature. So I got to put him number 1. I'm going to put Turbo on the list because he should have had 3 feature wins at Knoxville. If he doesn't break that gear, that race is probably over. And you got to put Mike Marlar on there. We're at the World 100. He charged from 26, 28 to a podium finish, and then he wins at Knoxville the following week. So there's no reason not to put him on the list.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got AJ Demo. So last week he lapped up to sixth through seventh place, about to do sixth. He did that for 2 weekends in a row now, completely dominating. I noticed the real red glow in his brakes. You guys notice that? I mean, I noticed it last week and noticed it this weekend, but Demo, total stud. Sabraski in the super, looking good. And then Ryan, you had alluded to Johnny Broking earlier, 26th to second. Remember, robbed of a win last weekend in Superior. So in my eyes, he's basically won 2 weekends in a row. Robbed of a win last weekend, 26th to second with that amount of competition. To me, it's good enough for a win. So he's on the hot list. How about you, Ryan?
Yeah, that's a good point with Johnny Broking for sure. Trying to talk those guys into going to Watertown. Brandon Overton, right? He's got what was it, 50 grand each roughly at Eldora, right? That he won, and he win 3 or 4 big ones at Eldora, right? And then he just won 50 grand at Texas. And from what I understand, and this is from Goose, who's been kind of shooting us some numbers, it sounds like he's at about $777,000. So the fan question of the week, brought to you by Shane Hall, Cowboy Up Racing, who really had a good performance over at the Wissota 100. And of course, Cowboy won the Race of Champions over there. The question I have, and this came from Jeff, can he eclipse $1 million in earnings? See, it's $100 grand to win the Dirt Track World Championships, right? It's $100 grand to win. What's the other? There's another $100 grand to win.
Well, Vegas, because it's double.
Vegas, yes, Vegas. And there's plenty of stuff that's 10, 15, 20, and all that.
We got the Pittsburgher for 20, the Jackson 100 this weekend for 20, the World Finals for 30, the Gateway Nationals for 30. It's going to be tough, but if he bags the dirt work, if he bags the DWDC and Vegas, he's going to get it. But he's got to bag those.
He wins either one of those two. Either one of them. He does not. Pardon me. If he wins Vegas and the Dirt Track World Championship, then it happens easy. He's way over. But he can get it done with winning one of those shows. Just one. Because that'll put him at 877. And with all the 10, 15, 20 stuff going on, he could still eclipse $1 million. That's going to be fun to watch. We're gonna get some actual concrete numbers down to make sure we're right on. But this is going to be really interesting because this could be history, right? Because Donnie Moran, of course, won the $1 million. Is there anybody else that's ever eclipsed $1 million in earnings in 1 year?
Well, in the Dirt on Dirt roundtable, they talked about this a little bit, and they said that Overton was around 800,000 right now. So I don't know if you said what 775. That's around 800,000, I guess. But they mentioned this has been the best money season since JD in 2015, and yeah, he didn't get $1 million that year.
Right. So I mean, this could be absolutely historic. I mean, I don't know what kind of percentage he gets. I'm guessing he gets 25%, 250 grand in earnings. And we're not even counting. I don't know if there's any point stuff because he's not really following Lucas. Is there a points fund deal for that triple show there for the XR series?
I don't know, but I think he must have got some point money for the Southern Nationals.
Yeah, he probably did. So it'll be interesting to see. That's something we're going to keep an eye on. So Brandon Overton's number 1. Lucas Rodine in the Midwest Mods. I basically said, hey, when Tony Liker gets on top, it's over. Tony's got this deal won, and he has won 6 of 12 since September 1st. He won the Wissota 100, was dominant there as it slicked over, and he's in the driver's seat, 6-point lead in the Midwest Mods. And then the 1 TPO of Tyler Peterson. In his last 15 shows, 12 podiums, 7 wins. And I kind of wrote it off. I'm like, I'm not even going to talk about the mod points. Sabraski's got that one handled. It's done. It's over. I don't think Sabraski's winning it. He's going to Watertown on Friday, and then he's up in the air on Saturday. I think he's going to go to Bemidji Saturday, Sunday to run both cars. he has to win. He has to keep TPO out of victory lane, or it's over, and it could be over this weekend. TPO has been red hot. So let's get into who's not. Bert, who do you got?
On the show, Ryan talks a lot about the eye test. I'm going to pick a driver based on the ear test, just that I don't hear anything about him this year, is James G.O.A.T. He's just not getting the wins like he has in past years. So I'm going to put him on the list. I'm going to put Texas Late Model Racing on my list for not hot. And then to round it out, two drivers, Ron Berna and Brett Swedberg, entering the last 2 weeks of the Dirt King season, they were right in contention for the championship, and the last 2 weeks did not go well for neither of them. So that's my list.
Yeah, I only have one.
He's been a little quiet, but he did have 3 top 5s at the Legendary this weekend.
Okay,
but you're right. It's been quiet. He's been there. He got 3rd. So he's on the podium at the Silver 1000.
Yeah, he got a 2nd in Superior last week, but the wins, like you said, the wins have kind of been
he's just you're right. It's just that's what he's like. Consistency, and wins. So he's there, but he's not there. I guess I'm with you. I expected a lot bigger things out of him this year than what we got, for sure.
And he was my pick at the Legendary, so I guess maybe that influenced me a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm trying to catch Ryan. I need some victories.
Good job, James. Appreciate it. Puka, who do you got?
I've only got one because, with the big car counts, it's only 2 shows. I'm really not going to come down on the local guys. It was such a competitive weekend, but Chris Madden, just a disaster again this weekend. Unfortunately, yeah, he rolled, and it wasn't his fault. Max Blair got a little crossed up and smacked him into the wall, and then Whitaker kind of came in there and had nowhere to go. But it's not like he did any better on Friday night. So just a tough year for Madden. He just, despite himself, he's 2nd in points in the Woo late models. I don't know how, but just like I said, tough time for Chris Madden. How about you, Ryan?
I would have loved to have seen if he had a meltdown after that deal, because I'm assuming he did, as much as it's been happening.
No, he walked away. It actually was. There's some pictures find on the internet walking through the infield, and because I don't know what happened to Blair that sent him to the right, and then he blasted Matt, and then Bloomquist barely got through that thing. I mean, he was lucky, but yeah, terrible accident. But yeah, just no luck, cold as ice.
So I got Chad Becker. Only 2 podiums in his last 10. He didn't even make the feature at the 100. I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, looking at the cars that were there, I mean, there were some good cars, but there were some cars he definitely should have beat. And he did. In his defense, he got in on the first night and opted out of that one. But, man, has he had some bad luck. I'm telling you. Like, if it can go wrong, it does go wrong. Hauler issues, motor issues, you name it, it's over. Searing's going to be your champ. It's over. It's done. You can put that, etch that in stone. It is over. Shane Edgington, my goodness, is he cooled off. Last podium, guys, August 25th, he got 2nd at Grand Forks. His last 11, flat out garbage. 7 DNFs. I'm talking not even competitive. I mean, I think he's got, like I said, 1 podium. I think he's got maybe a 4th in there. Absolutely abysmal. If you look at my race pass stats, it's not been good. And quite honestly, I expected him to be good at the sites. He was not. I don't know what happened with him and Searing there the first night. I literally thought he broke, and then I think he was mad at Searing, but his car just went straight left, and he ran them all in the infield. I'm like, he's not been good. He's got to bounce back. I assume he's going to Jamestown this weekend. He needs a bounce back for sure. And then Mike Nichols. There's a guy that I just had high expectations for at the Wissota 100. They had some bad luck in there too, but just didn't go well. He had a couple of DNFs. He didn't make the feature one night. The best he did out of the 4 features he was in was 12th. I expected a lot bigger things out of Mike Nichols. Now we're going to his house this weekend. You got the Autumn Classic at the Watertown's Casino Speedway. I expect him to bounce back, but Nichols, I was very disappointed in his finishes. So, picks from last week, just looking at it really close here. I'll just give you our standings, right? I'm at 27, Bert's at 25, Jeff's at 18, Pete's at 15, Puka's at 13, and Keith's at 1. And looking at it here, Pete, I'm looking at this. Pete got 2. Pete's the only one of us that got 2 right this past weekend. He had Macedo and Bishop, and 4 of us had Overton. Well, that was a lucky guess.
I got 2 this week, and I got Marlar and Overton, didn't I?
I don't think you had Marlar, Puka.
I had Marlar for Knoxville.
I'm going to take a look right now.
You go do a recount.
Recount.
Hanging chads.
You did not have Marlar. You did not have Marlar. I'll tell you right now. For Knoxville,
go back and look.
I'm going back and looking right now. I got it in front of me.
I thought Puka did have Marlar.
It could be. It could be. I might be wrong. It's happened more often than not, right?
Now we're gonna have to go back and check the whole season.
No, Jeff has statistician. He keeps track of all that. Okay, so this is on. Okay, I'm gonna put this on. No, you had Marlar at Knoxville.
Yeah, that's where he won. Yeah,
and he did not. And Jeff did not highlight it yellow.
Oh.
So there you go. See, right there. There you go. So we're gonna blame Jeff for that one. So Puka did get 2. Jeff, dropping the ball, buddy. You're dropping the ball. So we're gonna put Puka at 14 then, and he got 2.
That's because Puka's catching Jeff. So
Jeff is pencil.
Would have got him weeks ago if we would have been paying attention.
Yeah, Jeff is pencil whipping you there for sure. I'm a little disappointed. So this week, of course, we're picking tomorrow night, or I guess it would be tonight. This is coming out. Farmer City's got the Castro Flow Racing Night in America. We're picking that. We're going to pick all 3 nights, I believe, from Brownstown. World of Outlaw Sprint Cars, I think they got a race here this weekend. Where are they at this weekend? They're at Eldora and at Lernerville, right? And then we're going to pick the Punky Manor Challenge of Champions, the late models up at the Red Cedar Speedway. But if it came down to one pick for the weekend, lots of racing going on, and really it's the last big week of Wissota racing. There's 3 shows this week, but with all that's going on, who's your sure bet of the week?
Well, I'm not doing a sure bet to win, but my sure bet is that Nick Avalink will finish in the top 5 at the Punky.
Ooh, that's a solid prediction.
I got Cole Schill at the Jamestown Stampede.
He won that 2 years in a row now, didn't he?
He's won it a couple of times lately.
He wasn't at the 100. That surprises me. There's a guy right there. Yeah, he wasn't at Fergus Falls. I'm kind of surprised by that. He's kind of had an off year. First year racing really without his dad was a big part of his race program. So kind of maybe that's part of the reason why. I'm going with the 1 TPO, Tyler Peterson, at the Casino Speedway. I mean, I'm a Shane Sobraski fan, but I'm telling you what, you better bring it. You want to beat TPO at Watertown, you better bring your big boy pants, okay? Because Plato gets around that little boring. So that's my pick for the week. So let's get into the last lap. Of course, brought to you by Zuli's Race Engines. And, Parker Anderson, I think 33 on the year. He won the Wissota 100, put a big stamp on his season. Zuli's performance, I mean, they're winning races all across Wissota country. Give Frank a call. He does a lot for the sport, helps a lot of drivers. It's that time of year where you're going to be thinking about, got to bring your stuff in to get it freshened up, ready for next year. Give Frank a call. You'll be happy, glad you did. So, NASCAR, Los Angeles.
Huh.
Really?
Quarter mile paved is what I heard too in an interview. Paved. It's not a dirt track.
Isn't that something? Bert, what have you seen on that?
Well, I just saw that I saw an article they're going to be racing. It's in the LA Coliseum, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, they're like Puka said when I sent this out. I mean, LA is what, the second largest market in the country, so they're trying to expand their market. But yeah, interesting NASCAR race inside the LA Coliseum. Last time I remember vehicles in there was, I can't remember, the off-road trucks when they come down that big hill, and I remember watching that on TV.
Well,
Yeah.
it says I read that NASCAR's had racing in stadiums before, but the last time was 1956 at Soldier Field.
Yeah, I remember seeing that. That's crazy. It'll be interesting. Hats off to them for doing something different. I'm telling you, that little thing is going to be far more entertaining than the 1.5-mile track, right? So pretty cool to see. Lucas Oil, a little bit of news in the Lucas Oil late models, kind of stealing one of the World of Outlaws shows.
That's a big deal because, you know, if you race fans, you remember Lernerville. Okay, so what we're talking about is the Firecracker at Lernerville. They just announced it's going to be a Lucas race in 2022, and they're raising the purse. What was the purse? About 2025. They're going to go up to 50. But Lernerville was actually owned by the World Racing Group just a handful of years ago. World Racing Group created the Firecracker.
Right.
You know, and so now going forward, it's going to be interesting to see, because not only was the Firecracker a big event, but like we just said, this weekend, the World of Outlaws Sprints, obviously a World Racing Group, going back to Lernerville. They've got 2 shows at Lernerville. The Big Block Mods, or World Racing Group, come down to that track. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with this, you know, World Racing Group and this ownership dynamic with Lernerville as far as what's going on there. But yeah, that was, to me, that was big news, you know, because like I said, if you know the history of it a little bit, you know that World Racing Group, I mean, they still own a couple of tracks, but they were, at one point, they were kind of buying a lot of tracks, and then they you know, I think it just got, the management of them just got to be a little bit too much. But yeah, so that's the big news, you know, kudos to Lucas, but Woo loses another big show. So now you really got what, the Prairie Dirt Classic and the USA Nationals, the World Finals, if you want to call that a crown jewel. Yeah, that's
consider that huge. You know what I mean? It's not like it's a huge. I mean, it's one of their huge ones, but they don't really have many of the crown jewels left. That's definitely interesting. And speaking of World of Outlaws, a little bit of a schedule change there. They were supposed to have racing this week. What happened there?
Yeah, at the Rev in Louisiana. Now, so they said they canceled due to the tire shortage. And then the next sentence they say, but we scheduled another race in Sonoya, Georgia on October 2nd. Well, if there's a tire shortage, there's a tire shortage. You don't schedule more races, right? I mean, am I you know, so canceling 2 shows for this week in the 24th and 25th of September, adding a show October 2nd. So you got 4 shows left. October 1st, Cherokee, October 2nd, Sonoya. And then the World Finals, I looked at the schedule, Thursday racing, all you're doing is qualifying for Friday and Saturday. So there's 4 shows left of the World of Outlaw late models. Bishop basically got another title. Congrats to him. But yeah, like I said, I was just a little perplexed on the tire shortage. And then the next sentence, we're going to announce another race.
Now, speaking of racing, you're talking Sonoya, Cherokee, kind of that southeast. Let's go a little further into the southeast, a big late model race, Milton, Florida, Southern Raceway. What's going on there?
Yeah, so you know, let me back up real quick. I forgot one thing on the World of Outlaws. Nice article on the website on the B1 Bomber, our own Brett Larson. Check that out at the World of Outlaws latemodels.com. But yeah, Southern Raceway, in an event co-promoted by the Hunt the Front guys, an unsanctioned super late model event. They're going to call it King of the Sandbox. Friday and Saturday, November 19th and 20th, 5,000 to win for the supers on Friday, 20,000 to win on Saturdays, or on Saturday's race. So in Milton, Florida. So an interesting race. And I know you've raced there, Ryan.
I have. Interesting place. It's Milton, Florida is up in the Panhandle, so it's kind of South Alabama. So let's just call that the deep South. The war's not over yet down there. They don't like us Yankees coming down taking their money. I did win there. I did park it in Victory Lane down there. They call it a sandbox because that's a slippery one. I'm telling you, that place is definitely slick. But Joyner, of course, with Hunt the Front, they're from there. That's their home turf. Is there anything else going on? When's the World Finals? Is that World Finals week before that, right?
That's before that. Yeah, that is got the handy dandy right here. World Finals is 5th and 6th.
Okay, so I don't think there's really anything big. When's Vegas?
So 5th and 6th, World Finals, 12th and 13th, Vegas, 19th, 20th, Sandbox.
Okay. So, I mean, realistically, they can get a pretty decent car count for that deal because there's nothing else going on. You know,
another 20,000 for Overton to get to that $1 million.
Right, 25 because he might win both nights, right? So he's definitely going to. He's good on that Sandy stuff too. So speaking of late models, Tri-State late model, the repairable vehicles Tri-State late models were in action this past week. Was that their finale as well?
No, they got 2 more, or they got 3 more left. So yeah, congrats to Nick Bayanoff, another win down at Rock Rapids, Iowa, his home track. So now they're off to the legendary Houston Speedway Friday. They got 1 show, and then 2 more races, Murray County, double shows. I think it's the 1st and 2nd of October also, and then that'll be a wrap on the Repairable Vehicles Tri-State Series. So, but just want to give a shout out to Nick Bayanoff. Big win Saturday night. Congrats.
Absolutely. And Bert, you mentioned you got some Eastern Wisconsin guys heading south this coming weekend. Some IMCA stuff, IMCA mod action that is down in Batesville. What's going on down there?
Yeah, what's the race called? The Hope for
Race for Hope 71.
Yeah. It's IMCA sanctioned show, 50,000 to win for IMCA modifieds. I saw that Benji Lacrosse from Eastern Wisconsin is expected to travel down there, and Mike Mullen is expected to travel down there, race a modified also. So I'm not sure if there's any other drivers from the area heading down there, but those are two of the best drivers from our area. So it'll be interesting to see how they do down there. 50,000 to win. I was looking at the payout, and then it drops down to 15,000 for second, 10 for third, and 5 for fourth, and 3,000 for fifth, and then it drops down.
Yeah, so, I mean it's if you take the 50 grand out, it's still a good pay all the way down.
Right.
But I'm here to tell you, like, if you're second and it's 15 grand for second and it's 50 grand for first, just how dirty of a slider do you throw? Right? You gotta give them a hip check. You gotta do what you gotta do, because that's a lot of disparity there. So the last thing I have is a little recap on Sycamore. Dave got second this past weekend, so he is still leading the points. Gained more points on the second place in points guy, because he got 7th. So I don't want to say a comfortable lead, right? But a little bit more breathing room with 3 nights to go. Of course, they race this weekend, and then they run both nights with the Lucas Oil MLRA. So I'm guessing that one, I don't know if it'll be streamed or not. I sure hope so. They don't stream a lot of races over there, but hopefully that one is. So that's a little recap there. Of course, we'll talk a little bit more about our drivers on the power rankings. We opted out of that this week because it was 100 week, and we were down there with everybody. But what do you see? We get to the must-see events of the week. Puka, brought to you by
L&M Radiator, still looking for a few good men and a few good women. Machine operators, steel prep operators, CNC machinists, assemblers, welders. They're looking for 1 application engineer, some drafters, a quality assurance coordinator, and a person to help out in HR. Over 30 openings right in Hibbing, a good family-owned business, less than a mile from the Hibbing Raceway for all you race fans. Mesabi.com, MESABI, or just go down in the show notes, MESABI, Mesabi.com. Go there, click on their website, right up on the right-hand corner. It'll a little box there for job openings. You can put your app in right there. No college needed. If you have college, great. If you have a 2-year degree, great. If you have a high school degree, great. They're willing to train and get you going there at L&M Radiator, Hibbing, Minnesota, Mesabi.com.
Awesome. So what do you guys got going on this weekend? Number 1, are you going to any races? And number 2, what are you looking forward to this weekend? Bert, we'll start with you.
I am not going to any races this weekend, but races I'm looking forward to. Number 1 on my list is the Punky Manor. Part of the reason I put that on there is when I was in the pit crew, that was one race that we went to every year, and we enjoyed the racing, but we also enjoyed the partying after the races. So it was a dual reason for why we loved going to that race every year. But actually, I mean, that was a race that MJ really wanted to win. He wanted to be on the back of the T-shirt. He never got the win. Since my first time ever there, he finished 3rd. I think we talked about this on the show, and he finished 3rd. The track rubbered up. He was actually running 2nd, or no, maybe he finished 4th, and he was running 3rd, and he tried to pass for 2nd and then fell back a spot. But John Krasinski won that year. That was 1990. So it's been a long time since the first one that I went to. Second one on my list are the slew of Lucas races that will be coming up later this week. And third, I have the Batesville Mod Show because there'll be some local drivers racing there. So be interesting to see how they do down there.
Absolutely. Puka, what do you got?
Well, of course, the Lucas Oil Late Models out in Jackson for the 42nd annual Jackson 100. A lot of tradition there, a big race, 20,000 to win. So I'm going to try and catch that. But the two Stampedes stick out for me. Jamestown, I've been out there. I actually watched you win there, Ryan, one time, 99, 2000. It's been a long time since I've been back there. I don't know. I mean, am I going to make it this year? Odds are not. I say there's a 10% chance. The Stampede in Bemidji, there's a very good chance, weather permitting, that I'm going to make that on Saturday, at least possibly Sunday also. So would you rather, Ryan, which Stampede? You've raced in both. If you are a racer or a fan, which Stampede would you rather go to, the Jamestown Stampede or the Bemidji Stampede? And fans, you can pipe in on this one too. What would you rather?
That's a tough one. I think if you're a late model guy, you got to go to Jamestown because they got late models over there, right? So you got to go there. Boy, the culture in Bemidji is so good. It's the atmosphere after the race, the after party, hanging out. It's a fun time being over in Bemidji for the Stampede just because of the whole culture. Jamestown, my name's on the back of that shirt. I guess I won the Bemidji Stampede too, but the Jamestown Stampede, I'm on the back of the shirt twice. Joanne texted me. She's like, "You got to come out here. Your name's on the shirt, And is it their 50th this year? Is it the 50th too?
It might be. Let me see here. I might have that down here.
So, and Puka, you said Lucas at Jackson.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Brownstown.
Lucas at Brownstown for the Jackson 100. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I had to look that up. I'm like, it feels like it's right. Yeah, 42nd annual
in Indiana. I'm sorry.
Brownstown, Indiana. Because you're like back at Jackson. I'm like, am I missing something here?
Jackson, Mississippi. Yeah.
Or Jackson, Minnesota, right?
Jackson, Minnesota. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know where they're at. I'm like, I better make sure I got my stuff right here. So yeah, they're in Brownstown.
And it is the 50th.
Stock Car 50th Stock Car Stampede out there. And I'm telling you, Mitch Johnson, Johnny Carell, a lot of them greats out there. So there's a lot of history out there. So mine, the one I'm looking forward to, and the one I'm going to, is the Autumn Classic at the Casino Speedway, Watertown, South Dakota. National title implications on the line. Of course, at Watertown, you're going to see Shane Sobraski versus Tyler Peterson on Friday night. That is going to be a big deal. National title contenders in the late model. Cole Searing, who about has it locked up, against Chad Becker, who needs a bounce back week. Becker can win out there in Watertown. Mike Nichols is a top 5 guy. He's going to be there. So looking forward to getting out to Watertown. Jamestown, of course, is going to have Rodin. He has to win this weekend because Tony Leiker is going to win at Sheridan unless Troy steals it from him, right? So Lucas Rodin has to get it done. So I'm looking forward to the Jamestown Stampede specifically for that reason. I want to watch Rodin and see if he can seal the deal this weekend in that 19 car. And I'm looking forward to Farmer City tonight. Actually, if you're watching the show, it's Tuesday. The Castrol Flow Racing Night in America, I believe that's tonight, isn't it? At Farmer City. That should be good. Sounds like Kyle Larson's going to be in the house. Hard not to cheer for the guy. Hard to cheer for the guy. You kind of want, you want to see the underdog win, but it'd be interesting to see if he can get that one done. So a lot of action coming up. And really, guys, there's only like 8 total WISSOTA races left to go.
So your show this weekend, is it 2 shows or what?
2. It's Friday and Saturday, 2 complete shows. Oh. And if you can't make it there, that will be on Dirt Race Central. So watch drc.tv. So Friday, Saturday there. Bemidji, Saturday, Sunday. Granite City also races on Sunday. So, and then Jamestown is Friday, Saturday, 2 complete shows. Sheridan has 2. And then next week, of course, got the Red Clay Classic coming up. Granite City's got 2. Madison's got 2. And then really it comes down to you have the Fall Classic at Ogilvie. And then the show that never happens, right? The Can-Am Clash at the Gonda
Sure.
Class. I think they did it 4 times, and they got rained or snowed out 4 times. So that'll be the final one. So it's coming down to the end, but excited to get back out to the baddest bull ring in South Dakota. So with that said, anything else you guys want to add? Pretty lot of information in this show for sure.
Yeah, I think we covered pretty much everything.
I think so.
All right, well, bring us home, buddy.
All right. Well, yeah, great show. Make sure you share this out. Like I said, Bert just said a lot of information. So find the 3 of us, at Bert Lehman on Facebook, at Ryan Aho on Facebook, at Racer Puka on Facebook. I said, we got some merch. We can ship it out. Just get a hold of one of the 3 of us, slide up in a DM or something. We're on TikTok. We've talked about TikTok, Snapchat, YouTube, Facebook, podcasts. We had over 30,000 views on one of our TikTok videos over the weekend. So go to the One to Go Show on TikTok. Check us out. Like Ryan was talking about early, the buyraceshirts.com power rankings coming out to you this week. Make sure you're subscribed so you get those every week. Thanks always to our great partners, Dirt Track Supply, L&M Radiator, buyraceshirts.com, RV Share, Cowboy Up Racing, Zuli's Race Engines, Blue Line Brews, and Vernon Racing. Of course, we'd like to hear from you. Comment right here on the show or the onetogoshow@gmail.com. And as always, most importantly, get out there and be your dream. You're tuned to the One to Go Show.